Hello, welcome to School of Dapps. In today's video, we'll be learning about mapping and how it is used in a smart contract. This video will help you have a basic understanding of mapping and its application. So now let's start writing about it. A mapping in Solidity is a reference type used to store key value pairs, where each key is unique and it's linked to a single value. Now think of mapping like a phone book, a phone contact. So it links one thing, which is the key, to another thing, which is the value. And it's like, for example, it links the person's name to its number. So if, for example, I'm looking for a person's phone number on my phone contact, what will I do? I will search for the person's name. And when getting the person's name, by clicking the person's name, it will display the person's phone number. That is mapping. So the person's name is being linked to the person's phone number. So the person's name serves as the key, while the person's phone number serves as the value. So in order to get the value of the number, what will I do? I will click the name of the contact on my phone, so it will at the end give me the number. So that's how mapping works. So in Solidity, the mapping, this key can be a wallet address, and the value can be the balance, or the key can as well be the user ID being linked to the user piece of data. So that's how mapping is in Solidity. You always have a key pair linked to the value. So by calling the key pair, it will give you the value of that key pair. Now let's look at the way a mapping is being declared in Solidity. We write the keyword mapping. Then in the parentheses, we write the key. The key is, for example, the address. Then the value can be a number. Then we write the visibility of I just write the name. The name of the can be, let's say, balance. So by accessing the person's address in the mapping, it will display the balance. So this is the way a mapping is being declared in Solidity. We have the key pair and the value pair. So the key is address. So calling the address will return the value, which is the balance. And the name of the mapping is called balance. Declaring the mapping, we are declaring the data type the key pair is going to be holding, and the data type that the value pair is going to be holding. So at this time of declaration, we have not placed in the actual key value, but we are just using the data type to represent what the mapping will be holding. Now let's learn how we can fetch values from mapping. So we use a function, we're declaring a function, and the name of the function can get. Now we're passing in the key that will be passing in the key, and we'll be returning the value within the mapping. So this is the way we fetch the data values from a mapping. So we call the name of the mapping, and in a square bracket, we pass in the key value, the key into the square bracket. It will return the value of that is linked to that particular wallet address. For example, we are passing in the address of the user, the wallet address of the user, into the mapping. So it will return the balance of the user. So this is how to fetch the value or data from the mapping. Now let's learn how we can initialize or assign value to the mapping. So we also you're also using a function, creating a function, and we'll name it set. Then we are passing in the address passing in the address, and we also are passing in the value as a parameter. Now we'll call the name of the mapping, we'll call it balance. We pass in the square bracket and pass in the key, which is my address. Then we'll assign the value to it. So this is how we assign a value to a mapping. So we pass in the key in the square bracket and we call the name of the mapping and pass in this key in the square bracket and we equate the value to it. Now let's write another function to remove or delete a mapping that has been created already. So we are writing the function and we are calling the name of the function remove, and we are passing in the parameters of the passing in the key, the name of the key as parameters, which is address. Then we use the keyword delete. Then the name of the mapping, my balance, and we'll pass in. So this is a way of deleting a mapping that has already been created in Solidity. This is how a mapping can be deleted from the data. We have to add public. Okay, now the error line is off. Now we're having that error line before because we didn't specify the visibility. So this is how a mapping is created, fetched, and deleted from in Solidity. So the next we'll be looking at nested mapping. What is nested mapping? Now in this section we'll be talking about nested mapping. So the name of the contract is nested mapping, and this is an example of a nested mapping. Nested mapping in Solidity is a mapping where the value itself, it's another mapping. So in a mapping, we have the key pair and the value pair. So in a nested mapping, the value pair contains another mapping itself. So it allows us to create more complex relationship between keys and value pairs. So in order to declare a nested, write the word mapping, then an address for the key, then for the value, instead of writing the types of data of the value pair, we write mapping again. Within the inner mapping, you have to write the data type of the key pair, which will be uint 256, and the value will be Boolean. So the visibility, we can say the visibility is public. Then we can call it nested map or not nested mapping. So this is how nested mapping is being declared. It has a key pair that links to another mapping as its value. So now let's write functions on how to initialize the mappings, assign value to the mapping, nested mapping, and fetch a nested mapping, and also remove delete nested mapping. So let's write the functions for doing all of that. So first of all, write the name keyword function. Then we'll call the name of the function get. Then we'll pass in the key for the mapping, which is an address. The name of the address, will just say my address. Then remember it's holding another, the value pair is holding another mapping. And within the mapping, there's another key pair. So we have to pass that key pair also. The value of the name of the key pair, we have to pass it. So we are having the inner mapping is having a key pair of UN 256. So we are passing that data type as a parameter, and we'll call it just call it index. Then the visibility will be public, viewed. Then we'll be returning a Boolean value. So in order to fetch the nested mapping value, we'll just say it returns the name of the mapping. We can call the name of the mapping. We are using this first one, nested. So we'll just say the name of the nested mapping is nested. Then we'll pass in, then we'll have a parenthesis and pass in the key pair for the first key pair, because it's having two key pair. The first key pair will pass my address, and we'll pass in passing the next key pair within another square bracket, and that's also by so doing we are fetching the value within the inner mapping. So we are passing in the address as a key pair of the first key pair. Then within this second mapping, we're also passing the key pair. Then it will return the value within it. So let's write another function to set or assign value to the nested mapping. So the name of the function will be set. Then we are passing in, let me just copy from here. So we are passing in the key of the two keys for the mapping and also the value, which will be then same thing that we did here. We'll call the name of the mapping, nested mapping, which is nested. Then within the first square bracket, we'll pass in the key, the first key, which is my address. Then it will have another square bracket where we'll pass in the second key index. Then we'll say we write equal to the value. So by so doing, we have already assigned a value to the nested mapping. Then the third one is that we will create a function to delete the nested mapping. And the same way we did it in the mapping, the same way we'll be doing it in this nested mapping. We'll just create a function. Let me copy this function and I'll call it remove. Then I'll remove the third parameters. Then I'll call delete keywords before, use the delete keyword before writing the name of the mapping and passing in the two key pairs. So by so doing, we are deleting the nested mapping. So if you found this video very helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to School of Dapps. On this channel, we are very dedicated to transforming aspiring developers into skilled blockchain experts. Also, do well to follow our tutorials on other blockchain network. See you in the next video.